Now you want to have a lot of T2s, but I also have hundreds of T1s in each category, just so that if people start smart bombing me, I can just throw out my T1s and I don't care about the cost, and I can just slam these drones into whatever's attacking me as much as I can. Just keep shoving it out. Obviously with T2 drones, if they're smart bombing or getting rid of those drones quickly, it can quickly add up in cost. You're worried about your carrier anyways, and the cost of this can go around at $1.5 billion, something around 700 mil just for the ship. But the cost of the drones may not be that much if you consider you might lose the entire thing, but still, I would rather fill up the entire 10,000 cubic meters with T1, and rather than spend all of my ISK on T2. But I do have quite a few T2s. And that's kind of an overview of the ship. We've got the cloaking. Now what we have to do is undock the ship and take a look at it from the outside. Okay, so pretty cool. It's telling me, hey, you've got some drugs in here. As long as I'm in 0-0, it's not a problem. If I go into high sec, it could be a problem. I'm going to say do not ask again. It's a nice little check to see. To let me know I have some drugs. Alright, so drugs, a great thing. Overheating, a great thing. So I'm going to push Control Space, and I'm going to go ahead and turn these capital recharger mods on. Now, an important point to note is that in order to jump, it takes 95% of your capacitor. Now, if you train up jump drive operation, it reduces the amount of capacitor needed by 5% each level. At this point, my capacitor says 94%. I could not jump if I had not trained jump drive operation. Now, when I train jump drive operation all the way to 5, I can jump when the capacitor is at 70%. So you can see the capacitor is going down. It's at 89%. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to have this on. The damage control is a great Omni. And let me move this around. I'm going to get that triage module way out of the way so that I don't accidentally click on that in the course of the travels. This one right here, the improved cloaking, will disconnect all my fighters if I have fighters or other drones out. And that's not a good thing. So I'm going to have it off to the right here so it doesn't get confused. These drone control modules allow one extra drone per. As long as they're not activated, they don't work. So I have to activate them, and this gives me 3 extra drones. So I have carrier 4, Galenta carrier 4 gives me 4 extra drones. I've got 5 drones from my drone skills, and so that's 9, and plus these 3 gives me 11. So 11 drones total, if I counted that right, and I believe I did. So, alright. Right now these capital armor reps are operating like normal. Any damage I would have had in the armor section, this lists a full armor of 164,597 would have been repaired with each of these cycles. Now I'm going to go ahead and overload them. I'm going to move way up where it says toggle overload over on the green part, but I have to go enough up that I don't actually deactivate the module and it says toggle. So I click on it, and I'll go ahead and click on this one as well. Now, it's going to start overloading as soon as it does this next cycle and it turns bright green. I want to see my passive modules. This way, I can see what's happening to these energized adaptive membranes, and I can see when they start turning red. If they get a full 100%, I can only repair them by docking. Otherwise, I can repair them with my nanite repair paste. So, as these go overheated, you can see some heat right here developing in the low slots, and that's at 21% heat, and boom, you're starting to see some heat damage across the board. So I'm just going to toggle it again. It should have toggled. Good. So, wow, that's a lot of heat damage on this guy right here. Damage 64%. So here's a little guide to overheating. In order to repair these, I simply need to right-click and repair. As long as these are not active modules, which the energized adaptive nanomembranes are not, I can start them repairing as soon as there's heat damage. Now, since these are both off, it's not creating any more heat damage. Now, to actually repair these, I'll need to deactivate them. And then I'll need to right-click and repair. So, just a second. I'll go ahead and repair it. Looks like it has to do another cycle, so that's fine. Okay, now while it's doing the other cycle, I just want to make a note that you have to have a Sino ship in fleet in order to jump. And that Sino ship, when it creates its Sino, has to broadcast the Sino, or you have to choose that Sino ship, and it has to be within range. So, let's go ahead and start repair of the smaller one. So you notice we have 17,210 this nanite repair paste. So I'm starting this repairing, and I'll let it go for just a little bit, and then I'll start this one repairing. Good. These capital modules take a lot of nanite repair paste. They're huge modules, and they can consume thousands of nanite repair paste, which can get pretty expensive. Obviously not as expensive as your ship, so if you need it, it's good to have that option. Okay, so while we're waiting for this, looks like it repaired. So 17,000 something. I'm looking at about 1,000 just to repair that little bit right here. I forget how much it was. Maybe 17,300 something. So maybe close to 800 nano repair paste. When this one finishes, I think it might be using a bit more just because it has a bit more damage. Okay, talking a little bit about this while we're waiting for that to finish. The triage module is a module that doubles the speed, and it also doubles the repair of these capital armor repairs for a total of 4 times the repair from these modules. Now, this triage module will use, in my case, just because of how we've trained it, 200 of the, let me check. Tell me how much strontium I need to use. Okay, so it's going to be at the bottom. Strontium clathrates uses 200 each because I've trained it well enough. So I need to make sure that I have in my fuel bay, I want to have 200 stront. And a great way to prepare for the use of this the strontium is to, in your corporate hangars, to divide up the strontium in 200 increments. So we just go something like this and say 200, so that we have stacks of 200. And what I did was, since I don't have any space in here, I'm gonna have to, let's see if I can move some of this first. I'll move 100 into here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make stacks of 200 by using left click and drag. I hold down the shift key and then I release. That allows me to specify the amount in the stack, or divide the stack into 200 increment stacks. And again, it wants more space in there to actually do that. So let's just think of a way to get more space. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just jet this. Let's see if I can jet it. I'm going to create a jet can basically as a temporary place so I can subdivide this and show you what it would look like. The reason you want to have stacks of 200 is so after you use one, you can just drag another stack of 200 into your fuel bay. So let me just open the fuel bay. No. Let's open the cargo hold. There it is. Okay, so there's my cargo. And I might have a little bit of space to put this. Okay, good. So I'm going to go ahead and jet it from here. Sure, yes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a temporary storage facility. And I'll put 3,000 in. Alright, so great. I've got a stack of 200. A stack of 200. Stack of 200. Like that, and so on. So I get to have lots of stacks of 200, so it's ready for me to use. Now, since this lasts a bit of time, you're probably not going to go through this many stacks of 200. And I'll just bring the rest of it in here, because that's quite a few stacks already. So now, it says that I used 200 on this triage module. And it also says the triage lasts for, what does it say? For 300 seconds, or 5 minutes. So once I start this thing, it's going for 5 minutes. I can't dock. So if I actually started, I'd try to dock. I couldn't warp away. I'm just stuck there. I can't use drones to fight off anyone. I'm just, well, basically surviving. Could survive till help comes. I could just survive to annoy the people, make the fleet that's trying to take me down just work for it. You know, the more they work for it, the less happy they are about it anyways. So they'll get an easy kill of a carrier. So there are quite a few reasons why you might want to give yourself a little extra time. Of course, the extra time also allows them extra time to bring in more ships and take you down. Of course, if super capitals come on the field, triage isn't really going to make that much of a difference, because super caps can bring an incredible amount of damage. It's a source of great dispute in EVE about, you know, whether or not super caps are balanced, because they can do so much damage. Alright, so a little bit of an external look. Let's look at the drone bay. I'm going to open the drone bay. So my drone bay is actually hiding behind this overview. And I'm trying to get it where I can actually pull the overview up and access that drone bay. There it is. So what I have here, all the drones in my bay. I have them divided into categories. All you have to do is highlight the drones you want to put in a category, right click, move the drone, create a new group if you want to call it something else. I call the group Furbolg, so I moved all the drones to this group called Furbolg. If I hadn't done that, all these drones would be in just one common pot, and I wouldn't be able to have these categories. So now I can just right click on the group called Furbolg and launch my drones. So I can put out 12 drones in this configuration. Not sure if I said 12 before, but I might have miscounted. 3 here, 4, that's 7, and then 5, that's 12, right? So 4 from my carrier, 3 from these, then 5 by default is 12. So that's quite a few fighters, and fighters can do a lot of DPS in the Thanatos. You can expect about 1650 DPS, maybe a bit more if you can put another drone control unit on it, or maybe I'm remembering having 4. But yeah, a fair amount of DPS for a carrier. Alright, so let's go ahead and start jumping this thing. So you can jump this carrier to a station, or you can jump it into the middle of space. The nice thing about jumping it to a station is that 20 seconds after you jump to the Sino that's next to the station, if the Sino isn't too close to the station and didn't push you out too far away from the station, then you can dock in 20 seconds. If you jump into space, well, everyone can see your Sino, so they can warp right to it, see your carrier, tackle it, and well, then you've got problems. So that's where this cloaking device comes in.